Every 12 minutes, someone in the UK is questioned about their right to stay, and with the new 2025 Mass Deportation Law, that number could rise dramatically. Imagine going to sleep tonight, only to wake up tomorrow and discover that you, your colleague, or even your neighbor may no longer be welcome in the very place you call home. Could the government really push through a law with the power to uproot families overnight? What happens to the jobs, the homes, and the communities built over decades? This isn't just politics. It's a ticking clock that could disrupt ordinary lives in extraordinary ways. And the most unsettling part? You might be next. Number 1. The law in plain English. The 2025 deportation law is being described as one of the most sweeping immigration crackdowns the UK has seen in decades, and while government officials frame it as a measure to restore order, the details reveal something far more unsettling. In plain English, the law gives the state broader powers to remove individuals who do not meet tightened residency or documentation requirements, even if they have lived in the country for years, raised families here, or built long-term careers. The targets are not only recent arrivals but also those whose visas have lapsed, whose asylum applications are still pending, or who fail to pass newly introduced eligibility checks. What makes this law alarming is how ordinary mistakes, like missing a renewal deadline, failing to submit an updated address, or not being able to afford rising visa fees, can now be grounds for forced deportation. Authorities justify these measures as necessary to protect national security and reduce pressure on public services, claiming that stricter rules will deter illegal entry and free up resources for legal residents. But critics argue the net is cast so wide that even well-integrated families, workers, and long-term residents could suddenly find themselves at risk. Think of it like a workplace introducing a new policy overnight. One day you have a desk, a routine, and a sense of belonging, and the next you are told you no longer meet the conditions to stay employed. Except here, the consequence is not losing your job but losing your home, your community, and possibly the life you've spent decades building. To make matters worse, the appeals process has been shortened, leaving little time for legal defense or corrections, which means many will have to leave before they even get a fair chance to challenge the decision. The law is also designed to be fast-tracked, with enforcement teams gaining more authority to conduct spot checks and removals. This creates an atmosphere of uncertainty, where ordinary people are left wondering if one wrong form or overlooked document could uproot their entire existence. Behind the political speeches, the real story is not about statistics. It's about lives caught in sudden turbulence, with thousands standing on uncertain ground and waiting to see if the system will view them as citizens, residents, or simply as numbers ready to be erased. Number 2. Hidden impacts beyond immigration. While the headlines focus on deportation figures and legal jargon, the deeper and often overlooked consequence of this law lies in the hidden toll it takes on everyday life. Living under constant fear and uncertainty doesn't just affect immigration status. It seeps into productivity, mental clarity, and the way people plan their days. Psychologists explain that when the brain perceives an ongoing threat, even if it isn't immediate, it triggers the body's stress response, flooding the system with cortisol. Elevated cortisol levels over long periods are linked to poor sleep quality, weakened memory, mood swings, and impaired decision-making. In simple terms, when your mind is preoccupied with the possibility of losing your home or being separated from loved ones, it becomes much harder to concentrate on work projects, household tasks, or even meaningful conversations. The stress doesn't stay contained. It spreads into routines, eating habits, and energy levels, leaving people drained and distracted. Studies have shown that communities facing immigration crackdowns experience a sharp rise in insomnia, anxiety disorders, and physical health complaints. Proof that uncertainty can be as harmful as any visible threat. For families, this means children sensing their parents' stress, leading to reduced focus in school, and for workers, it translates into missed deadlines, burnout, and the inability to think creatively or strategically. Yet even in such a climate, small grounding techniques can offer relief and help anchor the mind. Simple practices like mindful breathing, taking slow, deliberate breaths for just a few minutes, signal to the body that it is safe, lowering heart rate and calming scattered thoughts. Short walks in fresh air, especially in green spaces, have been proven to reset mental balance and improve mood. Even herbal remedies like chamomile or lemon balm teas provide natural calming effects, creating moments of stability when everything else feels uncertain. These aren't cures for the larger issue, but they act like mental life rafts, helping people stay afloat when the waters around them are turbulent. In many ways, the true damage of the deportation law is not just who it removes, but how it destabilizes the millions left behind, forcing them to navigate daily life with one eye on their routine and the other on a looming, unpredictable storm. Number 3. The time management connection. When a law like this enters public discussion, its effects don't remain limited to immigration offices or courtrooms. It spills over into workplaces, schools, and entire communities, silently reshaping how people use their time. Employees who once arrived at work ready to focus on projects may now find themselves distracted, checking news updates, scanning social media for rumors, or worrying about relatives caught up in the new rules. Families, too, struggle to maintain routines when uncertainty hovers in the background. Mealtimes are quieter, school mornings feel heavier, and even weekends lose their usual sense of rest. It's like trying to finish an important project while someone keeps whispering in your ear that the deadline may vanish tomorrow. Technically, the task is the same, but the pressure makes concentration nearly impossible. Over time, this constant mental interference chips away at efficiency, leaving people juggling stress rather than tasks. Research in organizational psychology shows that prolonged uncertainty reduces productivity by as much as 30%, as the brain devotes valuable energy to scanning for threats instead of solving problems. For communities, that translates into slowed projects, declining service quality, and a general sense of fatigue that creeps into every interaction. Yet there are ways to fight back, even within this climate. Creating microschedules, small, focused blocks of time for specific tasks, helps carve out islands of stability in a sea of unpredictability. For example, dedicating just 25 minutes to a task with a 5-minute reset break can boost focus and create a sense of progress. Another critical step is limiting doom scrolling, the habit of endlessly refreshing news feeds in search of certainty that rarely comes. Instead, setting designated times to check updates, say, morning and evening, protects mental bandwidth for other priorities. Productivity tools, like digital planners or reminder apps, also play a role in keeping routines visible and structured when the external environment feels unstable. Even simple practices such as writing down the next day's top 3 priorities the night before can reduce morning anxiety and create a stronger sense of control. Ultimately, while no schedule can erase the anxiety of an unpredictable law, grounding daily routines in intentional, manageable blocks gives individuals and families a sense of agency, a reminder that even when the larger world feels unstable, time is still something they can shape. Number 4. Social media and fear amplification. In today's world, news of any law doesn't spread slowly through official channels. It explodes across social media feeds, often faster than the facts can catch up. With the 2025 deportation law, this effect is magnified, as every update, rumor, or out-of-context video clip is shared, reshared, and dramatized within minutes. While platforms can provide useful updates, they also amplify fear, creating a constant loop of panic and speculation. Psychology research shows that overexposure to negative news triggers a heightened stress response in the brain, increasing anxiety while shrinking the ability to focus on daily tasks. It's like standing in a room where everyone is shouting about a fire. Even if the fire is far away, you eventually feel the heat, whether it touches you or not. For many, this translates into hours of doom scrolling, refreshing feeds late into the night, and waking up with a mind already overloaded before the day begins. The result is mental exhaustion, decreased productivity, and a sense that life is spiraling beyond control. Families feel this too, with parents distracted by their phones, children sensing the tension, and household routines disrupted by the constant pull of the digital storm. But there are practical ways to break this cycle without disconnecting entirely. One effective strategy is setting digital boundaries, designating specific windows of time to check news, such as morning and evening, instead of leaving alerts on throughout the day. This creates mental breathing room and reduces the sense of being under constant threat. Another method is curating feeds by following credible sources and muting accounts that thrive on exaggeration or fear-mongering. Even small habits, like keeping the phone outside the bedroom at night or turning off push notifications, help reclaim focus and improve sleep. Studies confirm that reducing news exposure by even 30 minutes a day leads to measurable improvements in mood and concentration. Ultimately, while the law itself may be beyond individual control, how people engage with information about it is a choice. By shifting from reactive scrolling to intentional consumption, individuals can shield their minds from unnecessary stress and preserve their energy for the things they can actually influence: work, family, health, and personal well-being. Number 5. The human side. Behind every headline about the 2025 deportation law, there are lives woven with stories, dreams, and years of hard work that statistics can never capture. Imagine a grandmother who has lived in the same town for 3 decades, who helped raise her grandchildren while her children worked long shifts, suddenly being told her paperwork isn't sufficient. Or a child who only knows English, whose best friends are in his local school, now facing the possibility of leaving overnight for a country he has never even seen. For many, these laws don't just threaten legal status. They shake the foundations of family bonds, community trust, and a sense of belonging. It's like being forced to leave a garden you've tended for years, just as it's about to bloom. The roots are deep, the growth is visible, yet someone else decides it no longer belongs to you. Neighbors, teachers, and colleagues also feel the ripple effect, watching families disappear from classrooms, workplaces, or neighborhoods without a chance to say goodbye. The loss isn't just personal, it's cultural, social, and generational. Communities that thrive on diversity suddenly face gaps in their fabric, with festivals quieter, friendships fractured, and shared traditions fading away. The bigger theme here is legacy. What remains when fear replaces stability, and what kind of society is built when contributions made over decades are erased in an instant? These stories remind us that laws aren't abstract lines on paper. They are forces that determine whether families can stay united, whether elders can live their final years in peace, and whether children can grow up with continuity rather than disruption. And perhaps most importantly, they raise questions about the kind of future being shaped, not just for those directly affected, but for everyone who values connection, stability, and the right to build a life without the constant fear of it being taken away. In the end, the law doesn't just deport individuals. It uproots entire legacies, turning years of effort into uncertainty, and leaving communities to wonder how many more gardens will be left unfinished. Number 6. Economic ripple effect. When people think of deportation laws, the focus often stays on the individuals leaving, but the ripple effects spread far wider, into workplaces, housing markets, and the overall rhythm of local communities. Sectors like healthcare, transport, agriculture, and service industries often rely heavily on migrant workers who fill essential roles that many others overlook. With sudden mass removals, hospitals may find themselves short on support staff, bus and train services face delays due to driver shortages, and restaurants or shops struggle to keep doors open. These gaps don't just inconvenience people. They create bottlenecks that ripple into productivity across entire regions. Imagine waiting longer at the doctor's office, struggling to get public transport on time, or seeing your favorite neighborhood cafe close its doors, all linked back to the loss of workers quietly holding the system together. The housing market also feels the pressure. When thousands are forced to leave, rental properties may suddenly sit empty, causing landlords to drop prices in some areas while other neighborhoods tighten due to sudden demand shifts. For families already balancing tight budgets, these fluctuations add another layer of stress. Communities experience a cultural and social void too. Churches, mosques, schools, and local businesses that once thrived on diversity and strong participation begin to lose their vibrancy, leaving a sense of absence that statistics rarely capture. For those left behind, the financial strain is coupled with emotional uncertainty. Will my commute get harder? Will my healthcare access slow down? Will my neighborhood feel emptier and less connected? This is where focusing on financial and personal resilience becomes crucial. Budgeting for unpredictability, setting aside small safety nets for sudden price shifts, helps cushion the impact. Building or joining community support networks, such as neighborhood co-ops, skill-sharing groups, or even informal childcare exchanges, reduces dependence on strained systems while fostering stronger ties among residents. Staying adaptable, being open to new ways of working, commuting, or supporting local businesses, ensures that individuals and families can navigate a shifting economic landscape without losing all stability. The law may remove individuals, but the aftershocks linger in the empty hospital corridors, the delayed trains, and the quieter neighborhoods, reminding everyone that when one thread is pulled from a community, the entire fabric feels it. Number 7. Protecting mental resilience in uncertain times. One of the most damaging effects of living under the shadow of sudden, unpredictable change is the toll it takes on mental resilience. Fear of deportation, or even the thought that someone in your circle could be affected, drains creativity, motivation, and the ability to focus on daily priorities. Neuroscience research shows that prolonged stress triggers a cascade of biological responses. Cortisol levels rise, the brain's prefrontal cortex, responsible for decision-making and concentration, becomes less efficient, and the immune system weakens. In everyday terms, this means people become more forgetful, more irritable, and more vulnerable to illness just when they need strength the most. It's like trying to keep a candle lit in a storm. You can't stop the wind, but you can create the right shelter to keep the flame alive. Protecting that mental flame requires small but deliberate habits that anchor the mind against chaos. Morning sunlight exposure, for example, helps regulate the body's circadian rhythm, improving sleep and boosting mood-regulating hormones like serotonin. A short walk outside within the first hour of waking can do more for mental clarity than an extra cup of coffee. Herbal teas like chamomile, lemon balm, or lavender have been shown to calm the nervous system, offering a natural way to reduce tension before bed or during stressful moments. Tech-free evenings are another powerful tool. Stepping away from constant news updates and digital chatter gives the brain space to reset, lowering stress and promoting deeper rest. Journaling also plays a vital role, acting as a release valve for pent-up worries. By putting fears on paper, the mind offloads emotional weight, making space for clearer thinking and more rational decision-making. These practices may seem simple, but together they form a protective shield, keeping people grounded in times when the outside world feels unpredictable. More importantly, they remind us that while laws and policies can create storms of uncertainty, individuals still have power over how they respond internally. By nurturing resilience, families and communities can continue to function, create, and support one another, even when the future feels unclear. So let me ask you, if everything you've built could be taken overnight, what part of your life would you fight hardest to protect? Share your thoughts below. I'd love to hear your perspective. And if this video gave you something to think about, go check out my previous video for even deeper insights. We put a lot of effort into making these videos for you, so please support us. Hit that subscribe button, it's just one click.